Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is LaKiesha and I make these videos to help you become profitable traders by sharing my breakdowns, my analysis, and my trading plan for the week. So right now we are going to talk about GBPJPY, also known as GJ. It's a very popular thing to trade, especially because there's a lot of volatility, and the fact that it's the British pound versus the yen, you can trade it in a couple of different sessions. So let's go ahead, like always, let's start on the weekly time frame, and then let's go ahead and remove our drawings just so that way we can kind of analyze price for this past week and see what has happened. So on this particular pair, we can see that there was a lot of movement the previous week in the bullish direction and a lot of movement in a bearish direction for this past week. So price could be correcting this move, although it is a little choppy. There's still some nice moves in here. So let's go ahead and go down to lower time frames so we can see what is actually happening. Let's hit on the daily. All right, so moving this over a little bit and adjusting my levels. So one thing I see right off the bat is a resistance level that has formed around the 197 area. And this was obviously a really high point in the market. And before we move further, I was trying to remember if this was the highest point that the market has ever made. And it looks like it is. Let me go back a little bit further. Oh, wait, nope. Okay, so this was actually the highest point that the market has ever made, and that was back in 2007. So right now we're here, and we're going back to those previous crazy highs on GJ, which can be really, really nice. So let's go ahead and go back to the daily time frame. Back to where we were. Okay, cool. So this is a high in the market, and it hasn't been this high for a really long time. So like I said, I definitely want to mark off the resistance level, the bullish and the bearish candle together, forming this resistance. So I do see a lot of selling activity. Obviously, we did see that on the weekly time frame, but I just want to take note of it. One of the other things I actually do want to mark off is this other minor resistance level that is right here around 197.2. The first one was at 197.86. So this is looking good up there on the daily. I do want to draw off some or mark off some other levels, specifically down here at 191.12, specifically because I do see a whole bunch of rejections, or actually a couple of rejections in this area, and then also a strong support level that has formed, and it's strong because price shot up tremendously from this particular zone. So we definitely want to mark that off. So let's go ahead and actually let's drag this over a bit. When we drag it over, we actually see that there is a resistance level, some rejection, a bunch of consolidation, a support. This was kind of a fake out here, but then it also formed the support. So not just in recent price action, we also see in the past, actually going back a couple of months, that price in this level is really strong. So we definitely want to keep that marked off. And the only other level that I would probably draw off on this particular time frame would be down here around 188.27, mainly because of the support that we formed here. Once again, same reasoning, price shot up tremendously from here, forming a new high, and then price formed a resistance right here. And of course, we have a whole bunch of rejections to the downside, to the upside, or actually to the upside, to the downside, and so forth. So this is looking really good for me. Let's go down to the H4 time frame where we can make some minor adjustments to our levels and get more precise. All right, cool. So here we are. I'm just making a slight adjustment to this really high one, and I imagine that as we go down in time frames, this big wick here will probably get another line or maybe another adjustment, because this is a lot of price data in this one wick. So right here, let's go ahead and, you know what, actually I like this right here. So I was going to move this up above these two candles right here, this rejection, but I want to pick areas where price is touching the most. So we definitely have a lot of candles touching in this area around 197.2. And we have this is kind of like a fake out. It looks like, well, during the market, it may have looked like price was going up. And you're like, oh yeah, we're going back to test these highs, but it didn't. It came right back down and then sold off tremendously. And then looking at the time, this may have been a high catalyst news event of some sort this would have been during the Asian session / pre-London session. So I'm not up at that time, but I do look at this in the New York session because sometimes there are some moves that happen, especially when there's the London-New York overlap. So because the London market is still open, there could possibly still be some moves. So anyway, so that's when I'm looking at this market. So this is still looking good to me. Let's go ahead and draw another level. So right here, I'm seeing a lot of rejections in this level or on this level at 192.75. So I want to mark this off mainly because we have all those rejections there. Then I'm going to drag it over as much as I can. Okay, that's looking good because if we look at what has happened before, zoom into this area, we can see all of these rejections throughout here. Price looked like it was going up. It came down and pulled back a bit, but then it shot right up. So I may want to adjust this on a lower time frame. Let me drag this out just to kind of see what's touching here. Okay, this is looking good. Okay, all that's looking good. Okay, great. So now let's go ahead and look at this. Now this is really, really messy to look at. That's one of the things that I really dislike about GJ. It has some really clean moves, as you can see from, right here, that's really clean. And then on the way down, that's really clean. But then the chop is this choppiness where it's a bunch of wicks and price is just kind of going back and forth. It can be quite messy. So let's see if we could decipher something from this particular level. All right, so right here, I want to set the support right here, mainly because I want to prioritize price that has happened more recently. And that is looking good to me so far. And then if I look left, I actually want to make this line a little bit thinner. Okay, we have a little support here and a resistance there. That looks great. And we still have our support that we're prioritizing. And of course, all of this choppiness within here. So that is looking good to me. So if we go down to this other level around 188.24, one thing I do want to adjust, I want to see how price looks if I move it here or even right here. And I actually like it right here. So I'm going to keep my line at 188.33, kind of average zone. And I didn't put it way down here, mainly because we have a lot more touch points at this particular level than this one. We do have 1, 2, 3 rejections, and that's awesome. However, we have 1, 2 rejections here. We have some touches within here, and then we do have a couple more rejections here. So basically, there's a lot more price action kind of in this zone than in this zone. But let's go ahead and look left and see if there's some other information that we could gain from here. All right, cool. Yep, we do have this support level that formed right here. We have a bunch of choppiness, but basically the resistance level is around here as well. So now I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with keeping my level right here versus down here. All right, so we've spent quite a bit of time on this H4 time frame, mainly because there is a lot to see. So let's go ahead and go to H3 and see if there are some things we need to adjust. And so far, I'm not seeing anything that just needs to be moved. Maybe this down a little bit, so that way it touches the support level a little bit better at 191.06, roughly 191. And same with here, still looking good. This was the area where we decided to have it around 188.32 zone. So these are not exact prices. They are basically just zones. And did I have another one there? No. Okay, great. So let's go down to H2. All right, and then I'm going to reset the view just because it's a little hard to see. Okay, this is still looking good. So one of the things I do want to mark off up here, you make that line a little bit thinner. Actually, I am going to make it, going to move. So I feel like I have a lot of lines on my chart. Let me move that back. I may want to move it when I get to H2, but one thing that, or H1, but one thing that I am noticing right now is this resistance level right here at 199.66. So we may move it when we get down to the next time frame, but right now this is looking good, mainly because of the rejection. And remember how I said, I think it was on the daily time frame where I had this really big wick, that there's a lot of price information in that, and now we're finally seeing it. So let's see, was this a wick on H3? No, it was okay, it was a wick on H4, not on H3, but H2 we could see it a lot better. So this is still looking good to me. We're gonna keep this, but we may move this level. This looks good. And then this still looks good. Let's just zoom in a bit because it's getting hard to see. Alrighty. Actually, I do want to move this line closer to this resistance level right here at 192.65. We got support, breakback support. Okay, that's awesome. Then we got a whole bunch of resistance levels right here. Let me see how it looks if I bring it up. Even though I am prioritizing the most recent price action, I still want to see how things look. Okay, I'm going to put it back. So that way we're prioritizing the resistance right here that happened more recently than this stuff. This is still looking good, although I do want to move this down so that way it's touching this level. So now it's at roughly 190.98. So basically 191. And I'm going way over here just in case price comes down. This is still looking good to me. So 188. Okay, great. So now let's go down to H1 and let's right click and reset our chart view. Okay, so this is what I was looking for. I wanted to see a little bit more detail inside of these candles right here. And that's exactly what we got. So this placement is actually perfect. And I'm going to tell you why. So let's zoom in. So it's perfect because we see that price had this strong bullish momentum here, started to weaken a bit with this candle, and then this candle closed bearish. So we formed a proper resistance, and then this candle just went down. So yeah, this is looking really good. Really, really good to me. And this level, I'm not quite sure I need it, actually. Now that I'm looking at the information, I'm going to get rid of this level, and what I am going to do instead is take this level and drag it out. Mainly because we have a nice support that formed here. Price formed a support, went up, and then it broke through the support with a lot of volume, and then it came back to test this area. So that to me is a much better thing to have marked off than the extra line that I had before, because I'm looking at the most recent price action, and I also like to keep my charts clean with just a few lines and not have a whole bunch of other stuff on it competing for my attention when I'm looking at the markets, because it can become confusing. That's how it was when I first started. I had a bunch of crap on my charts, but now I don't. Okay, so this is still looking good. All right, okay. So actually, let me reset this view again. Okay, that's still looking good. Okay, this is still looking good right here. There's quite a bit of choppiness here, but still looks good. I like it. Did I have another level? I think that was my last level. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the top. All right, so coming out with my trading plan for this upcoming week, if I get to trade GJ, I try to limit the number of trades that I take in a given day, just so that way I don't overtrade. Also, another issue I had in the beginning, now I don't for the most part. So some days it does creep up, but I'm better at controlling it. So one thing that I'm looking at here in this H1 time frame is this resistance here. So I do want to mark off this level, because this is a resistance here, but then we also have this nice bearish move right here, which means that if price closed up above here, this 192.67 level, then it has the opportunity to correct that entire move, going all the way up to 195. So that's one thing I'm definitely going to be looking at. So let me just draw my arrow right there. And right now, where price is currently sitting in or on GJ is basically a consolidation. So I wouldn't even trade this. So let me just mark this off. This to me is a no trade zone because I can't tell who's in control. I can't tell if the buyers are in control or the sellers are in control. So it's just basically just rocking back and forth. So I'm just going to draw a level there. And then also I like to draw a box around my consolidation zones just so that way I know these are no trade zones. And I've even gone as far as creating a template here inside, basically called no trade zone. So you could do whatever you want, but basically this works for me. And like I said, I'll be looking for price to give me some sort of signal above here to correct this move over here, which actually could be really, really nice. Although, if we zoom out a bit, we can see that although on the daily, let's look at the daily, although the daily is in an uptrend, we did have, let me make these candles nicer, it's a little slim to see. All right. So although on the daily, price is generally in an uptrend here, but we do have this really big sell-off right here, and it could just be a correction, but and then definite sells, at least for me, below 190.99, so basically 191. Definite sells into this zone. But at this point, I'm mostly going to be looking for buys, especially because we are above this level, and then sells below this level. So I like going back to the daily just to kind of get my frame of reference because I'm more of a trend trader. I do on occasion take counter trend trades, and those do work out, but just know that the counter trend trade is going to be a very short-lived trade because price could reverse at any time. So that's why I definitely prefer to trade with the trend, and why I'll be looking mostly for buys on GJ unless we go below here. So actually, let me just draw my little arrow below this line because that's where I'll be looking for sells. So let's go back to the H1 time frame. Very cool. And great. So let me put my arrow here. I do like to chart the path of what I'm looking for. I like the arrows a lot. So, and then of course, if price breaks above here, then it has a higher probability of coming up here as well. So let me draw another path right there. Perfect. All right, great. So like I said, this is a no trade zone for me. Price could come, let me do the path. It could break this consolidation, come down here to 191 and consolidate a bit before deciding to go up. So if it breaks this hypothetical consolidation zone, then I'll be looking for buys. But that's not on the chart at the moment, is just an idea. So once again, looking to the left, I do see a rejection zone right in here, mainly because we have, this is at 190.47, so 190.5 roughly. But basically, this would just be an area to, I'm going to mark this off, bounce or potential, bounce zone. Just because if we look at what price did in the past, we can see that price came down to this level, rejected, and went all the way up here. That's a nice little trade. And then right here, bounced up here, closed up above this level, came back to retest this support, and then shot up, and then it went up even more. So this could be a potential area where price would bounce. So I would feel, I would feel safer actually taking a trade below here versus just below this line. That's why we go down in these lower time frames to get more data. And then we can see that we kind of had a similar zone over here. And I'm trying to figure out, do I want to put it at these wicks? And yes, I do. Mainly because we have some price action down, or some price action data down here. And then we got price perfectly stopping at this, what is it now, 190.31 level, and then bouncing up. Stopping perfectly, bouncing up. Okay, that looks good to me. So now I've got to readjust my arrow to down here. Okay, great. Okay, awesome. So that is my trading plan for this upcoming week. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm actually going to draw this right here just so that way I know that. We don't know what's going to happen, but we like to plan. So anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you're not already, because I'm always dropping videos like this. If you want to see a different type of market, go ahead and comment below and you may see it on this channel. See you next time.